guys, it's Jackie from Jack Gets Lost at a Book Hole, and I just got back from finally being able to visit my sister and my nephews. Because unfortunately, my new job, that I got last September, it was hard for me to coordinate a day when I would be on a weekend when I would be off, and my mom was thinking about going to visit them. They're 5 hours away, so I don't get to visit them that often, but I had such a great time seeing them. Those boys are so adorable and so sweet. One is 6 months old, and he's actually starting to crawl. He's not actually crawling, but you can see he's getting there, and he really wants to, and it's just so cute. And he's such a smiley little baby. And he's so chubby too. He's a chubby little thing, but he's just like so cute. And then his brother is the 2-year-old, and he is so smart. I mean, he can memorize a book just like that, even if it has a few sentences. He can memorize it really easily. And he's so smart, and his diction is so, you can't entirely understand him, and maybe I'm a little biased because I'm around him a lot. Not as much as I would like to be, but I'm around him a lot either way, more than my viewers are. But you can mostly understand him. There are times when you can't, but most of the time he's pretty clear. He still has that, he can't pronounce his L's. I'm a small part Filipino, so how they say grandma is Lola, and he can't pronounce the L's. He ends up saying Woa, or, I can't forget how else sometimes you pronounce the L's. And he's learning he's gotten better at potty training, and I am just so happy that he loves to read. My sister made sure starting him early, getting him into reading, and he's constantly asking to be read to, or he wants to read the book himself, and it's just so cute. So I just had a good time playing with him and playing babysitter while my sister and brother-in-law went on a date, and I was just so happy to finally get to see them. He's just so cute, and they're both just so adorable, and I cannot wait for the youngest to start crawling. Like I said, he's getting there. He was kind of made those noises of frustration, every time he would get up on all fours and try to crawl, and, you can hear it, or at least that's how I take it when he makes those certain noises, like he's frustrated because he can't do it yet. But he's so cute. So anyway, I didn't finish any reading today, but before I left, I made sure to finish Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. It's not perfect, and it probably doesn't appeal to everybody. Like the writing style, it was written during the Romantic period, so sometimes the writing style focuses on very. What are you doing? My dog's decided to trade. Okay, let me close this door. Okay, are you gonna go? Sophie, are you gonna stay or are you gonna go? Okay, what are you gonna do? Okay, well, I'm closing this. My dogs apparently can't make up their mind if they want to be in the room with me or not. But are you coming? Come on. I usually like to keep my door closed because I like to keep my filming time private, and my dogs are the type that will want to be with you, but then they won't want to be, closed in the room. They want to be, to walk around and wander. But, I'm sure most people know what the story is about because you've either read the original novel or you've seen all the screen adaptations. This is about this guy, Victor Frankenstein, who decides to create life. And unfortunately, this creation he makes isn't what he expected. It's very disfigured and everything, and it's incapable of speech at first. So he totally freaks out and abandons it. And then what happens is the creature, whom he doesn't even name, follows him to his home country of Geneva. and slowly tries to learn human language and how we act and stuff, and he starts to adapt. And then the monster kind of creates all this mayhem and craziness for Frankenstein. As they say, as someone said in a review, the creature is kind of Victor's downfall. He kind of ruins his life. But the problem with Victor is yes, he feels horribly guilty for creating this, but it's more like, yes, I created you, but you're doing all this, you're creating all this mayhem and trouble for me, and, you're a monster and all that. And he never takes credit for the fact that he created the monster. And I think that's one of the themes about, first of all, don't try to play God and create life. And second of all, take credit for your mistakes. Don't just feel bad, but also admit that you did wrong. And sometimes I wonder if I kind of do that too. I kind of act like Frankenstein and make those mistakes, and don't always take credit for my own mistakes. I don't know, maybe I don't do that, but sometimes I feel like I do at times. But yeah, but like I said, the writing style is very focused on describing people's emotions using words like anguish and other very descriptive poetic lyrical words that just describe that you're upset or you're thinking about something. The writing is not very simple, but I think it's still a very fascinating and beautiful science fiction, actually, one of the first science fiction stories. And it's very interesting to look at the contrast between Victor and the Frankenstein creature or monster. And I like how, ever since I heard about people brought up the actual book to me, because I watched Penny Dreadful for a while. I don't know why I stopped, but they point at the Penny Dreadful TV show, which is basically taking all the famous horror novels, the characters from horror novels, and putting them into one world, one storyline, interwoven their stories together, and includes Frankenstein. And they said that was probably a closer interpretation to the actual novel, which now, having read it, I totally can justify that is true. Because most people, when they do most of the screen adaptations, I feel like take a more comedic approach to the creature, to Frankenstein, and make him seem like just this dumb, monstrous brute with he has a green body and a square head and bolts coming out. And it's just, now having read it, it bugs me. I mean, it bugged me even back then, but when I first realized that, it's very different from the original. Because I prefer intelligent characters over brutish characters. I mean, sometimes, having them as sideline characters is entertaining, but not as the main character. I like my main protagonist or a character, or not even, it doesn't even have to be the protagonist. He or she can be just, a major player in the story. Although I guess you could argue that he was kind of, the Frankenstein monster was also kind of a protagonist of the story. I mean, it was mostly about Victor, but, and of course, being a historical novel, the female character didn't have much of a role. She was just the loyal, loving, pretty female character, and that's something that bugs me about a lot of historical fictions, except for with the exception of books that are actually written by females. Of course, ironically, this is written by a female. But Austen's and Bronte's novels, the female character is much more intelligent and compassionate, and she's not just this naive, girlish character. She's actually has an interesting personality. I mean, the only thing that in this, I think that's why I like Scarlet so much, is even though she can be a snobby bitch, she's an interesting, complex character. She's very entertaining, and but the one female character in here, Elizabeth, well, there was two, but one of them died really early in the book. But the major female character she was kind of boring. She didn't have much of a role. It was definitely a story about men, and maybe because of the time period, Mary Shelley felt like she had to do that. But which by the way, I think it is really cool that this book was written for a writing contest, and it beat out a bunch of like really famous male writers, horror writers. I don't know. I'm guessing probably one of them was what is his name? Maybe it's in here. H.P. Lovecraft. I think he was one of the writers. And there's a bunch of other horror writers, but Mary Shelley won out. She totally kicked butt. And this has become a cult classic, a very famous book, and people still talk about it, and it's still read, and people will make, even if they're comedic, silly adaptations, people will still make screen adaptations for this book. And also this book, it was a very quick read. I mean, yeah, the words might slow you down because, like I said, it's very descriptive language. But it's, despite that might slow you down a little bit. But mostly the chapters are very short, like only a few pages. Some are longer than others. So I got through this quickly. Quicker than I was doing a buddy read of this, and my friend, I don't even know if she's still reading it because sadly she's sick right now, so she probably hasn't done any reading lately. But I know that we talked about starting Gone with the Wind for our next buddy read. But this is the friend I actually mentioned that sometimes it's hard for me to choose a book to buddy read with her. Like, I want to buddy read with her, but because she's so particular, and I have such variety and not a big variety, but I have more variety in my taste in books than she does. So it's hard for me to pick the perfect buddy read for us to read. And she loves romantic novels, like novels where the main focus of the plot is romance. And it depends. Sometimes you could argue that some of the books I read that are, the main focus is romance. Like, you could argue that Gone with the Wind, I think. And, like, of course, Jane Austen writes a lot of romance. And I will, and both those I will read. Like, I actually, after watching a booktuber, I asked her, because she had just mentioned reading one of Jane Austen's novels. And I asked her, I mentioned the two that I read so far, and I asked which one does she think I should read next. So hopefully she answered me. I will hope, maybe I'll find out today if she did. But like I said, I gave this 5 stars on Goodreads. But like a lot of people, I feel like the Goodreads system is a little hard to, like, it's not the best rating system. It's decent. It's a good rating system, but it's not great. It's not, because I'm definitely one of those people who would like the whole half star, be able to do half stars. And sometimes I feel like I can't sum up my feelings in 1 to 5 stars about a book. And of course, I've never really thought about how I would rate books. I just ever since I joined Goodreads, I've been starting, and I became a freelance reviewer for a magazine, which unfortunately, sadly, is no longer in existence by April. I started, I'm just starting to think about how I would rate books and be more critical of books, because I used to just read books just for fun, just to escape, and I still do. But I'm definitely getting into trying to be a little more critical and really thinking about specifically what I like in books. Okay, so like I said, the rest of the time, I'll get to that in a minute. The rest of the time is more like I didn't finish anything else. I just I just started some books. Like, since I finished Frankenstein, I decided to start reading this one. Fahrenheit 451. I read this, I think, in middle school. And I remember liking it and finding it very interesting, despite the fact that they're burning books in this story. Which, by the way, if you don't know what this classic is, this modern classic is about this guy. I wouldn't call it exactly a dystopian, but it is kind of a futuristic story set in the future where they now burn books, and that's what firemen do. Instead of putting out fires, they burn people's. If people happen to have books, they burn them, and they'll burn the house if they have to. Which, the books are in the house, then what else are they going to do? They're not going to lug all the books out just to burn them. And it's about this fireman, what is his name? Guy Montag. And after meeting this 17-year-old girl, he starts talking with her, and she starts making him question things. She starts conversations with him. And that's as far as and right now it's at the point where he's starting to question his job as a fireman, and he even steals a book from this woman's house that they had to burn, and the woman actually volunteered to decide to stay in her house with her books, so they burned her as well, which has really freaked him out. And then his boss has just come by the house, like he's opted not to go to work, and his boss comes by and has realized that, that this is a thing that all firemen go through, that they start questioning things and wanting to know why. So his boss comes by and, is telling him the story of why they burn books. And he hasn't even seen, and he also hasn't not seen the 17-year-old girl just disappeared. He hasn't seen her, and he's a little concerned, because he enjoyed her company. He's talking to his wife and everything, and they have their marriage frustrates me as I read about their marriage. It's so, there's no emotional connection between the two of them, and she doesn't, but that's as far as I've gotten, where his boss is telling him the story of why they burn books. Sorry, lost. Trying to find which way my bookmark was. I'm definitely finding it really interesting, but I actually had to stop reading it because my mom likes to listen. We were on the way to visiting my sister and coming back. My mom likes to listen to talk radio, and we were listening to Dr. Laura, and she is so mean. I don't know if you guys ever listened to Dr. Laura, but she's just a really mean person. She's blunt, but she's mean about it. She's very rude and doesn't have patience for what she defines as whiny people. And in some things I don't agree with her. Some things I get it, but I would put it a little more nicely. But other times, listening to her, I did not agree. Now, I don't really listen to this woman. It's just like I said, my mom likes to listen to talk radio to keep herself awake. And I didn't want to waste all my battery life on my iPod, and I didn't know if I would need new batteries for my Walkman, because yes, I still use a Walkman because I still have CDs. So anyway. Okay, so the rest of the time I just continued with reading The Secret History and East of Eden. It's funny, these books this length, unless I focus only on these books, they take me forever to read. And if there's distractions, like people talking, the TV's on, the radio's right next to me, then I can't concentrate on the reading. But I always try to get to a good stopping point. Like, if there's a break in the chapter, or, it's the end of the chapter. But sometimes, where I stopped in this one, it's kind of in the middle, so there's no break or anything. It's not a good stopping point, but I just couldn't concentrate, and I was zoning out and getting distracted by listening to Dr. Laura. But, so I didn't get very far in this one. They're still dealing with the whole issue of Richard being caught between, knowing about what his other friends did, killing the person, and trying to, deal with the whole Bunny situation, because Bunny has figured out what's going on, and he's all mad about it, and acting all high and moral. And now his other friends are planning on trying to kill Bunny because he knows too much, and he's just been on their case about it. It's just very interesting. These characters, and they're talking about killing this guy because he's being high and mighty and everything. It's not just that, but they're trying it's just a casual thing. No big deal. And in this one, I'm reached chapter 20, Um, so Adam marries the woman Cathy, who's kind of a bitch and very just plain evil and heartless, and I feel like he wants to make a Eden for her in their yard, and then she's pregnant and she tries to kill her babies, but she ends up having the twin babies. They turn to be twin boys, and then she decides, okay, I'm gonna leave you. Now that I've had the babies, I'm going. And she shoots Adam, but Adam is so messed up. He's so in love with her, and he keeps making excuses, and it was like, oh, it was an accident when she shot me, and just he's totally whipped when it comes to his wife Cathy. And now she's left him and has become a whore. But I'm told and I can see it, and maybe it's because I was told that this was what this was, but I was told this was kind of a retelling of the Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel storyline. So I'm seeing it. My screen is doing that weird thing with the light. I don't know why, but yeah. So I've gotten a little bit farther, but not a lot. But books like this, they take me forever to read. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then I also started this. Finally got started with this, which this is about, if you know your history, this is about Benedict Arnold's wife through the eyes of a servant girl. And the servant girl isn't she's the fictional character, but Benedict Arnold and his wife are real people, of course, real historical figures. And it's about, it's her. All I gotten to is that the new maid has met Peggy, Peggy Arnold, and before she got married to Benedict. But like I said, from what I already know, it's about, she's arranged to marry him from what I got from the summary. And I think she's all in support of the British. Like, she doesn't support the rebels, us, those of us who are Americans now. She doesn't support them. But Claire Claire, in her thoughts, we heard that she does support America, the rebels. But I guess Peggy, after marrying Benedict Arnold, she is going to persuade him, and get him to betray America and everything. As I've said this before, that I really should have got back into Turn. I really should have stuck it out, but I'm weird about historical fiction. Like, sometimes I have to be in the right mood. Historical fiction as in, like, the shows and movies. Not as in books. But, well, sometimes with the books. It depends on how it's written. But, yeah, with shows and movies, I have to be in the right mood to watch it. Even if I will probably enjoy it if I'm stuck with it. So I'm gonna see if Turn is on Netflix or, like, on Amazon or something. Or Hulu even, because I have access to my friend's Hulu account now, so... I'm going to see if it's on one of those streaming networks. And I'm going to watch it. It's probably going to be on... It probably won't be on Netflix, but probably might be on, like Hulu or Amazon, hopefully. So anyway, that's what I did this week. I haven't got anything... Oh, wait, actually, no, I may as well show you also... My sister's library, we took my nephew to and this. I also started reading this. I read the first 2 chapters of this. There's a 3rd book in the Fallen Kingdom series. I definitely didn't get far in this one. At least I got a little bit farther in The Trader's Wife. But this one I did not get very far. And I can't really tell you much. Because, again, I only got to chapter 2. And I don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to really spoil anything, but it's kind of like this compared to Game of Thrones in a way, aka the Song of Ice and Fire series, where it's like these feuding kingdoms, all these people fighting for power. There's magic, magic they believe extinct, but the reason to suspect that it's not completely extinct and it's coming back to the world. And it's told through multiple perspectives, several characters, like a young princess from the kingdom who's like from a young princess from one of the kingdoms, but hers gets taken over. The son of the guy who took her family's kingdom from her, Magnus, he and Magnus become engaged at the end of the first book. Then there's the girl who he once believed was his sister, Lucia, it turns out that she's actually has magical powers. I wouldn't call her a witch, but she has she can control I think what they have is Elemente. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she turns out to be an Elemente. She can control the elements. And their father, Magnus and Lucia's father, is trying to control Lucia's magic, so he can keep gaining more power and control everybody. So those are. Oh, and then there's Jonas, who Cleo's original fiance had killed Jonas's brother. So Jonas wants to rebel against the two of the kingdom of Palesia and the kingdom of what is it? What is that kingdom called? Uranus. That's what it is. But then it turns out, but then in the second book, Cleo and Jonas become kind of allies, and he wants to help her overthrow King Gaius, Magnus's father, and get back their own kingdoms, because he also kind of has a kingdom too, but it's I can't remember what it's called, but it kind of has more of a Native American feel than an actual European kingdom feel. But then my sister took my nephew to the library to get a bunch of books, and the library actually has a regular sale. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best selection, but I was able to find The Goddess Test, which I'm told is a Hades and Persephone retelling. One of my favorite booktubers, Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, is a huge fan of Hades and Persephone retellings, and she mentioned reading this book. Although she said the later books aren't as good, but she said this was a pretty decent one. And if a booktuber mentions the series as being decent, if not better, if I can get it for cheap, which I got it for like $1, then I'm gonna get it. And then I heard about this one as well. I've heard about this trilogy quite a bit, and that is Across the Universe. Now I heard, of course, this is one of those infamous trilogies that got cover changes quite a bit. So I don't know if I'm going to get it. If I like it, I don't know if I'm going to get the same cover or not. If I like it, that is. But I'm told it's kind of like Titanic, but in space. It's funny though, the first thing I meant when I told my friend I got this book, and I told her that, people compare it to Titanic, she was like, oh, so it's going to end tragically. It's going to end sadly. I was like, well, no, just because they compare it to Titanic does not mean it's going to have the same type of ending as Titanic. So that's the fact that I think this is kind of a YA book. So, if it's YA, it might not even end sadly at all. So I got this one for $2. So I ended up using all my dollars that I got over the little bit of I got some tips from helping people out in the parking lot, putting their groceries in their car. So that was, one more thing I will show you is not a book. Well, it's sort of a book, but I got this. I forgot that this had come out on DVD and Blu-ray, so I got it because this is one of my favorite horror novels ever. I read this before I even realized I liked horror. And I'm definitely reading more of Stephen King because of it. And I think it was my first Stephen King novel I ever read, and it's my favorite. So I got this, and I personally think this is even better than the miniseries. I love the miniseries, don't get me wrong, but this adds so much more. and the acting is so much better, I feel like. I mean, the adult acting in the original miniseries was great, but I'm talking about the kids acting. The kids acting is fantastic in this. Although I do love Seth Green. Seth Green is a great actor. But of course he was only like 12 or 13 when he did that movie. So, but yeah, this is I can't wait to watch this again by myself though. But I might be watching it during the day or starting it earlier this afternoon, this evening, and then taking a break to eat dinner and then watching the rest of it. But I'm probably gonna have to watch a happy movie. Maybe I'll watch Sound of Music again. I don't know, but because I do get scared, I like getting scared though. So that's how my weekend was in my week. So how was your weekend in reading? Did you read anything interesting? Did you get any of the movies that came out that are based on books, or did you see any of the movies that are based on books? Did you buy any books this weekend? Did you finish any? And please feel free to answer these questions in the comments. You don't have to answer them. You can just watch my video. But I would appreciate hearing from you all. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, or just passing through and haven't watched my video and like it, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.